Welcome to another episode of Sanford Says. My name is Lisa Holder, Chief Communications and Cultural Affairs Administrator for the great city of Sanford. We have another wonderful history event happening in our city this coming weekend. I have two wonderful guests, Dr. Connie Lester from UCF Rich's Digital Archiving Project. Welcome, Dr. Lester.
Second
time on the, or more than second time on the show.
Yes.
And then Miss Julia Brunson is a part of the historic, or the chair, co-chair of the Historic Georgetown Steering Team, and a longtime community leader here in the city of Sanford in the Georgetown community. Welcome, Miss Julia.
Thank you, Lisa.
And so we're going to be talking about History Harvest event that's happening this Saturday, February 8th from 10 to 2. A lot going on, and another incredible history lesson for those that want to attend, correct, Connie? We could share some details for those listening?
Yes, so we're going to be at Hopper Academy on Saturday, and we're conducting a history harvest. If you've never participated in one, here's how it works. So we ask you to bring in photographs, family photographs, photographs of scenes in Sanford or Georgetown, and maybe letters or documents or even three-dimensional objects that tell the story of Georgetown or Sanford. And we can scan any and all of those things. We will, of course, return your objects. We will give you a copy of the scans on a thumb drive, and if you give us permission, then we can put those items into our Riches digital database so other people can see them and enjoy them too, and can learn more about the history of Sanford.
Okay, so at the event, you will hand over, or they will hand over maybe anything that you're mentioning, and then get it back the same day, or
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
okay,
And also we're asking people to tell their stories, to share their stories. Now, what I sometimes get from people is, well, I don't have anything to say. I don't have any stories. None of us have all of the stories, but all of us have a little piece of the history. And all we ask you to do is tell the story or your story of Georgetown or Sanford or Goldsboro from your perspective, and tell us a little bit about what you know. And when we start to put all of those together, then we have a more complete picture of the neighborhoods and the town and what went on in the past.
okay, and that's ultimately for how would that be presented once everything is, or as you're gathering this, how would that be presented, Dr.
So
Lester?
we take the oral history. It's a video oral history. Then when we get back to our offices, we download that. We transcribe the oral history so that people can use it in whatever format, access it in whatever format they need. And then we'll put it up on the site. We will share it with you. Again, we will give you a thumb drive with your oral history on it so you can share it with your family as well.
Oh, so this is a practice, taking oral history interviews,
It
correct?
is.
It's a long time practice, and something that hasn't been done in Sanford, obviously, in a while. Or
Yes.
and so, this idea, where did that come from? Where are Julia? Do you want to speak to that? Is that something that?
Well, when we started forming the Georgetown Steering Team, we knew that we needed somebody to help us because we didn't know how to go about getting folk to talk about Georgetown. They grew up there or whatever. So we contacted Dr. Lester, and she graciously came over and said, well, we can help you with that. So this is our third year, right? This is our third year. We have more appointments for oral history this time than we've ever had. We also were asking people to bring, as Connie said, bring your whatever you've got in your house that's old, bring it to us. But what I'm most impressed with this year, we've added educational workshops. See, a lot of people want to find out about the house or where they come from. And Dr. Gates has done a wonderful job on that. But if you'll notice, he always has the celebrities on, and we don't quite make that. So this is going to help us if we want to find out about our family, start tracing them. And this is going to be great because most of our people, we can only go back to our maybe a grandfather or one great grandfather, and that's it. But we had a whole bunch more before that. So
Right.
how do we go about finding that?
Right, and soon you want to grab that information and gather it sooner than later because we don't want it to be forever lost. And so that's another important part of taking oral history.
Yes.
Correct, Connie?
Yes, and so in these educational workshops, we're going to, as Julia said, we're going to talk about how to get started. I'm not a genealogist, but I do know how to get started, okay? So how to get started tracing your family history, where some of the websites are that you might be able to find information that's useful to you. But also, we're going to talk to people how to do a history harvest, because this could be an activity at your next family reunion, that you do a history harvest of your family stories, which would help with tracing your genealogy too.
Right,
Because other people may have just a little bit more information than you do.
right.
And the third thing is Patricia Whatley is coming from Atlanta. She's going to do a talk. She's bringing some artifacts for people to see. And she's going to do a talk about Georgetown and Sanford history.
And who specifically is Patricia
I'll let
that people may not know?
Yeah, I was going to give her whole name because
Okay.
they may not know Patricia Watley,
Watley.
but
yeah.
they will know Patricia Ray Merritt Watley,
Okay.
who lived on Sanford Avenue between 7th and 8th Street.
Oh my goodness.
They'll remember that.
Okay.
Back when? Or is this, are we talking?
This is back in the 50s, 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, her mother and father lived in that house. In fact, that house is going to be one of the preservation sites in Georgetown.
And it still stands, yeah. It still stands. You can drive down.
Yes, yes. So everything everything is just like coming together with this history stuff. And Georgetown's we're really fortunate. We have 2 buildings that are on the National Preservation List. We've got Hopper Academy, where we're going to be Saturday, and we got St. James AME Church. And if you haven't been by there, go by there. We got scaffolding going up and roof coming down, all those kinds of things.
And the address for Hopper Academy is 1101 South Pine Avenue in Sanford, Florida. And this event, this History Harvest, is from 10 to 2 p.m. It's free and open to the public. You need to register, correct? Or not necessarily?
We had put up an Eventbrite so that we
Okay.
had some idea of who would be coming.
Yeah.
And so you can access the Eventbrite, but if you don't do that, we would welcome you to come by anyway.
Okay, and the building is an incredible historic building. I mean, it's right. If you're visiting downtown Sanford, it's not too far from where in the heart of downtown Sanford.
That's
too.
right.
So, so Julia, you mentioned. I know you're from Georgetown. Your family is. I'm sure. Have you already done your oral history?
No.
You have not.
That's why I'm real interested that they have this one this year, that we've never done it before. So I'm going to be sitting in that class learning how to do it. But I have a cousin on my mother's side who's already done that side of the family. I would like to do the right side of the family.
Okay.
And that's going to be real funny.
Your
'cause-
father's side.
Yes.
Of the family. Okay.
That's going to be real interesting because half of them I don't know. I remember his father's name and a couple of aunts, but that's about it.
Okay.
So I got my road cut out for me.
Right, right. Okay, so see, I mean, and what would you say to those listening about what the benefit of them doing this is, to come and share really personal history about your, their families and loved ones that may not, no longer be here, kind of thing. And what would you say to that?
What I
Dr.
say
Lester.
is we don't ask anyone to tell anything they don't want to tell. So that you decide what you're going to tell. We ask pretty generic questions about, tell us about growing up in Sanford, tell us about going to school, what big events do you remember, things like that. And so the person responding responds with what they want to tell. We're not going to press anybody to tell something they don't want to
Right.
tell.
Right. Okay. And so I would like to mention, this is a pretty big deal that we have Dr. Lester here from University of Central Florida sitting here working with, Historic Georgetown in Sanford, Florida, where you may be listening and or know that this area, Orlando and all that, but there is a city called Sanford with a lot of rich history here. I mean, to be partnering with UCF, it's got to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, right?
Excellent
Rachel,
point. Excellent point. Because most times we get sucked into Orlando. I'm serious. Case in point, I was looking for the deed for a church. Sanford didn't even record deeds when this place was built.
Which was what year? We're talking.
And we're talking
have-
1890,
Yeah.
yes, or 1900.
Yeah.
It was online, but guess where it was from? Orange County.
Right.
Because we didn't have a recorder of deeds and things in Sanford
Right.
at that point. So,
Right.
yes, it was.
Right.
Luckily, I knew somebody that knew somebody, and they showed me where the website was.
Okay. We'll see that you're doing your own sort of research just to preserve an incredible community, right? And we want to say something about your designation of your street sign designations.
Oh,
About-
yes, yes.
This is something pretty
Yeah.
big too for Georgetown.
Yes, that we did that in our first year. We were
We being the steering committee, right?
yes, the steering committee. Yes, we were fortunate to get some leftover money at the city, and we had the signs. The signs was designed by somebody at the Sanford Trust engaged for us, and then the city took it and made the signs. And I think that was February that was 23, wasn't it? Yes, February 23. Each street in Georgetown has a sign, and it's called a street topper, and it says Sanford, founded in 1890.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
they're colorful signs, and
Uh-huh.
when you see those signs, you're in a designated historic
That's
area.
right. Mm-hmm.
And so, just like they have something similar in our historic district, residential district around downtown. So, I mean, that's a big step
It is.
for
It is.
Georgetown. And now you have this partnership again. Dealing the History Harvest. You said it's your third year doing
Third
this?
year, yes.
Third year. And
Uh-huh.
how long when will you stop? Are you going to I mean,
Well,
what is the goal?
I
really?
don't see
Do you
there
have a
is
goal?
no goal when you start talking about history,
That's right.
because history is continuous.
Right.
You can't say, okay, we're only going to go to 1920
Right.
and we're only going to collect till 2025. No,
Right.
no, it's and it's very interesting how Georgetown has just flourished since we started, and I had no idea it was going to do that. But not only did we get the street toppers, we got an ordinance in Georgetown, and the ordinance prohibits anybody from going in, buying one of the houses that are already there, and then tear it down or burn it down and build what they want.
Yeah. That's
They
so
got to go
great.
through the preservation plan to get that.
Yeah, that is so
Yeah.
great.
And we ride herd on that neighborhood too.
Yeah, and you've had so many volunteers. I mean, you did the there was that walk and talk or the knock on the door about information.
Oh, the door hangers.
Door hangers. You work with the Mayor's Youth Council that went out there, and you had a big event a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so about Hopper.
Yeah,
The
that was
Peace
the
and Justice.
REEI.
Yeah.
We had that at Hopper. That was 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Right.
And we had a full house.
Yeah, with the
We had
Georgetown
about
community
45,
came
50
out.
people.
Yeah, so those same folks that came out and participated in that, we encourage you to come out and participate in this.
Exactly.
Event. And it's going to be a day of history this weekend, Sanford history for sure, because not only are we doing the history harvest or in our city, we also have the battle at Camp Monroe. And this just speaks to that the importance of Sanford has in history, in Florida history, American history, and all of that. So, Dr. Lester, would you like to say anything else to add to this to encourage people? Or the digital preservation part is really interesting. Do you want to share about how that works, or
Well,
because you do many projects, not just
We
Sanford.
do. But I can tell you, we've been doing this for 15 years now, and we started with Sanford. So we do have a lot on Georgetown and Sanford in there, in our database. The database is free and open to the public. You don't have to register. You don't have to have a password. You just go to Riches, and you can go into the archive and see anything we have there.
Okay, and when you said Riches, that's RICHES, and that's on through the UCF website?
Yes, so it is. So the URL is richesmi.cah.ucf.edu.
Okay, and there's all kinds of oral history that can be.
We have what we counted the other day. I think we had 37 oral histories
Yes.
already from
From
Georgetown.
the other two or 3 years that we've been doing this, yes.
Okay, so that's very exciting. So, I mean, for those history buffs out there, and for even, maybe history teachers or kids that like history, anybody, check that out. So this is a part of information to share with others, and that's why we do these podcasts, to get the word out, especially about great things like this going on in the city of Sanford. Do you want to say anything else, Julia?
Or just please come on Saturday, 10 to 2. I will guarantee you will learn something. You may not do anything with it, but you will learn something.
Right.
So
and never
please
stop
come
learning.
and see your friends, because other people will be there.
Okay, 1101 South Pine Avenue at the Hopper Academy, the History Harvest, Saturday, February 8th, 2025. Connie, would you like to say last few words? Anything?
I would just like to see everybody there. We love hearing your stories. We have learned so much, and I will tell you, I use these oral histories in my classes, and the students really respond to that. Hearing someone tell their story, they respond to those stories. They love it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, just like podcast listening is a different type of experience, and so I'm sure you could listen anywhere. Correct? If you
Yes.
have just like you can listen anywhere on a podcast, you can listen to these oral histories on your iPhone. You're walking
Yes.
along on the Riverwalk, just plug in and
Yes.
don't always have to listen to music, but well, great. That's really encouraging, and please come out, and just like they said, these community leaders have said, and participate in our history harvest. Thank you for listening. This is Lisa Holder, Chief Communications and Cultural Affairs Administrator for the City of Sanford. You could find this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and on the city website at sanfordfl.gov. Thank you again. Bye now.